I'll just move the laptop. Is the recording still on? Okay, is this better now? Okay, so let's continue again. Sorry for the delay. Yes, Shishadiji, you were saying about roles.
Yeah, so kind of like as we perform a role, we get onto the stage, perform the role, come down, then don't get attached.
Who is we?
Oh, sorry, this body. As this body gets onto the stage, performs the role, after coming down, like, this mind may continue to attach to the role that is performed.
Okay.
So with that awareness, probably how it has helped me is, say, for example, even I had to talk to a colleague, I find it difficult because of some conversations, or I had to call some customer service and I say, this is not really going well. I need, fix it and all those things. Earlier, I used to find it difficult.
Okay.
Now, because I had to get into that real agitated state of mind to say, I'm not really happy. Can you come and fix this one? Now, probably I know that, okay, now it's like a role. So quickly I can get into that state of mind probably and say, like, this is not really working out. This is how we need to handle, or speaking to a colleague who have found it was not easy. Now, like, okay, get into this. This is how I'm going to talk. The moment the talk is finished, I'm probably back to normal as much as possible to how I was earlier.
Okay. How were you earlier?
Continue to be agitated after talking to that colleague because of the tough, difficult conversations I've had.
Okay.
Not so much agitated now.
Okay.
So, and when I had to be a bit more assertive, talking to someone, I was not easier. Now I think I find it a bit easier to talk to.
Okay, so can your wife testify for that? Is it true whatever he said?
No, because I'm also part of this session, though. It's a sort of complimentary. We just leave it there. Don't expect too much. Okay, if it comes back, good. If it doesn't come back, just carry on.
Okay.
So with my child handling him, just make him gives back the required results and behavior or changes or something. Yes, it's happy. If he doesn't, then just stay back, take a step back, and then tackle him differently, and then get the job done.
Okay.
So it's not easy, but sometimes it's like you have to better do and things like that. But then, okay, because of your class, and then there is one realization, one awareness. Okay, just take a step back, come back again, calm down, and do it again in a different way, approach it differently. So something like that.
Okay, fine. So it's basically it's helped in time management and people management.
Yeah.
Okay, but who is the one? So you said mind is getting agitated. Okay, so body is doing the action. Mind is getting agitated, or and the intellect is planning, taking decisions. Who are you in this scenario?
If I see as like
taking action,
an
mind is
observer,
getting agitated and is peaceful.
Sorry, could you repeat the last sentence?
The body is taking the action. Mind is peaceful or restless or agitated. Intellect is analyzing, conceptualizing, decision making. Who are you? What are you doing?
Watching.
Watching. Okay.
I think one particular tip that has helped me at this moment, as you said, like, this mind is agitated. I am not agitated. This mind is not happy. This mind is getting agitated. When I say, I think that helped to
separate yourself from the object. Right.
I don't know whether disconnecting, but yeah, kind of building that gap between me and this mind.
So that is fine. The gap between you and the mind is fine. I'm asking, who are you? Who is that me?
By the theoretical definition, I could just say I'm Atman, but I don't know I am Atman. Not felt, not realized.
No, what do you mean not felt, not realized? You think becoming Atman means I should get some light behind my head? I should be able to read other people's mind? What is the definition of being Atman? I should be floating in the air.
I don't know what the definition is supposed to be, but at least one experience is when I said this mind is not happy, at least this mind is not that unhappy anymore.
Okay, that's fine. That's mind. Mind today is happy. Tomorrow, if you don't come to class or do something else, it will be happy, unhappy. That will go on. It has nothing to do with the mind, nothing to do with the body. Intellect also, you will have some concepts. Some concepts will collapse. That will eventually happen as a part of evolution. But nothing happens to you, right? Regardless if you come to the session or don't come to the session, nothing ever happens to the real you. I'm asking, who is that you? Who is that me that you, when you say me, who is that you?
Consciousness.
Okay, consciousness is a word.
Something inside, something that's holding
Something
all these
inside?
mind, heart, everything together.
Something inside where? Which? Something inside here? Something inside here? Where? Is it inside?
Inside my heart.
Inside your heart? I don't know. I don't think cardiologists will be able to find it. Okay.
At least, like, we know, we in the sense, like, there is my intellect now knows that this body is not me, this intellect is not me, this mind is not me.
Correct. That's the first understanding. I am not the body, my intellect. What I am not, today we'll get into what I am. Okay, so we didn't actually dive deep into what I am. So the whole process of Atma Darshana, Mamtaji also, is three levels. One is to understand what I'm not. I'm not the body, I'm not the mind. That's fine. That you intellectually understand. The moment it's told to you in a clear way, you understand it. Intellectually it's understood. Okay, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not intellect. Then I am Atma. What is Atma? I don't know. For now, we'll just say I am Atma. So as a byproduct of this intellectual understanding, you will get some amount of detachment. That the very moment that you understand this, if the body is going through pain, if the mind is going through some distortion, if confusion, you are able to detach from it a little bit and observe. But you still don't know what you are. What you're not might be intellectually clear. Then what I am. So first level of realization is to realize my true self. Okay. Brahma, that I am Atman, and that Atman is Brahman. Brahman means supreme consciousness. What we call as God, Paramatma consciousness. I am that. That's the first level. Then to realize that Jagat, the world, I see a world. The world is unreal. It is just an appearance. So the first is I am Brahman, and the world is unreal. And the third is I am the world. If any one step is missing, it's not a complete realization. The mind will throw up doubts and the suffering will continue. So the whole point of Atma Darshana is to see these three. When I say Darshana, is to see these three. Okay. When I say see, not with the physical eyes, to realize and be these. I am Brahman, to stay as Brahman. Jagat Mithya. Just the way you right now experience the world as real, you see through and experience the world as unreal, like a movie, as if you're going through a dream. And finally, there's no a non-dual experience. There's no me and the world. Me is the world. If any one is missing, then come back to the next session. Okay. Yes, Bharti ji. What are your insights, learnings from the previous sessions? Has life changed in the last 1 month?
Namaste, Guruji. I got chance to see the first episode just yesterday. So
Okay.
since yesterday, I've been um, thinking about that, and I've
You're
been
still fresh from the womb.
Oh yeah, yeah,
The womb of the previous session. Okay.
yeah. Maybe I need some more time to get all these things sinking and then think about those things.
Okay. So what was the insight from the previous session that since you watched it yesterday?
Okay, so um, uh, I am that who is not body, mind, and intellect. Um, what I am not is what explained in the last session, and we can how we can be detached from what we have been thinking all these years, what we are, right? And realize ourselves, maybe
Okay. Ourselves. How many selves are there?
myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yogaji?
Just I'm witnessing my thought, words, and action every second.
Okay.
That is what I'm trying to do. Whenever
Who
I
is trying to
feel
do?
that means witness the internal I.
Internal eye is doing anything. Eye does anything.
I means as a consciousness, what is I'm being able to separate this, what is intellectually, what am I doing, physically, what am I doing, and emotionally, what am I doing. So that is totally different from what am I. Basically, I'm only observing as a witness.
Okay. If you're
If
observing
I'm
as a
talking,
business,
means observing means exactly what is without any attachment. If I'm speaking to you,
okay.
I know that I'm speaking to you, and okay, it is the words which are coming from this mouth, and after
Okay. You've gone on mute. You're on mute.
sure,
Ah,
I've stopped judging anything, just keeping to myself, observing
okay.
my negatives. That means
Okay.
this physical negatives and what is happening, because what it is, it is in the purest form. It is covered by our thoughts,
Okay.
words, actions, impression, which is in our subconscious mind. If all the dust is removed, you are going
Okay.
to find the exactly who am I. Exactly, you can feel it. Every time you will find, you will get in a point of a bliss.
Okay. Okay.
Uh,
Good. Dhruti?
that is the exact
Ah,
what has helped me in the last session is
yeah.
refining further myself in the putting myself in the path of the structure form.
Okay. Fine. Dhruti?
Yeah, there were two things I felt. One thing is that whenever I began to witness things, I felt a silent space within me. That is something I felt whenever I began to observe my thoughts or what I was feeling. I felt that there was some silence within me that I felt. Another thing is not being attached to the role. Not only did that give me peace when maybe I had an interaction and I got agitated or something. I kind of was able to detach myself from that role, like not take it very personally. Also, I felt that with other people, that I was expecting a lot because I had attached a role to others as well. Like, okay, this is my mother, this is my brother, and there are some expectations that I had. And through this knowledge, I also realized that maybe because I'm identifying them only through the role, that I'm putting more burden on those relationships. So these are the two things that I felt.
Okay, so whatever you said, used a lot of me and my and I, right? In whatever you just said, you used a lot of me, my mother, my emotions, I. So who is that?
It's this.
You said my mother, no? Did you said something about your mother? Can you repeat that sentence again?
Yeah, I said my mother, my brother. When I,
Sorry, what is the sentence again?
I said my mother and my brother have attached some expectations because of the roles that they play.
So I have the sentences, I have expectations from my mother.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're telling there are three things here. I have expectation. Then my mother. This other my, which is I, and my mother. First, I had expectation. Who had expectation?
Probably that was the intellect.
No. Some expectation is there. Who is having the expectation? Are you having the expectation?
My intellect, or the intellect that I,
It is your intellect?
Yeah, I experience that intellect.
You experience the intellect. Other people also experience. No? When you explain something, they see, wow, this person is so intellectual.
Yeah, so that is, that's their experience of it. So maybe I can call it as their intellect.
Okay. So again, I didn't understand. Who has expectation?
Okay. The intellect that I experience has expectations. And
intellect has expectation. Okay. From intellect's mother. Whose mother? Intellect has expectation from whose mother?
My mother.
My means who?
No.
I'm trying to ask, whenever you say I, me, and mine, what are you referring to? Are you referring to the real I, real me? Or are you referring to something else? Are you getting confused? Looks like you're not referring to the right one. That's what I'm trying to find out. I don't know. I'm trying to ask and find out.
Yeah, now that you mentioned, probably it could be the thinking mind.
For me, the I is pure. I is consciousness. I can never have, there is no object in I, there is no object in consciousness, there is no thought, there is no feeling, there's no emotion in consciousness. And the consciousness is I, that is pure I. And there's no duality in the I that I know. Okay, and when I say I know, I'm referring to the same I. And when you are saying I'm trying to find out what are you referring to? You're clearly not referring to that I.
Yeah, I'm not.
What I are you referring to?
To the thoughts that.
There you are. You are referring to a I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is a signboard from the Bangalore to Mysore. If you go, there's a signboard towards Mysore. Okay, there's a board, or wherever you are, you have always seen a signboard, which says the name of the place that is pointing to something with an arrow mark. Now you are holding on to the signboard and saying, "Oh, I've reached Mysore. This is Mysore." Is the signboard Mysore?
No.
The signboard is a pointer to Mysore, right? What you're speaking of now is the I thought, which is a pointer to the I, and you're saying that itself is I. Okay, so you are superimposing something which is the original, and you're covering it with something which is far and insignificant from it. Practically, what you're doing is A thought, you're saying as real consciousness. And what is thought? It's like saying the wave is the ocean. Is the wave the ocean?
No.
What is the wave then?
Wave is just a disturbance in the ocean, a movement.
Wave is a disturbance, appearance in the ocean. Now you're saying the appearance itself is the ocean. So what are you, appearance or wave? Sorry, ocean.
The ocean.
Huh?
And the ocean.
The ocean. Now from the ocean's point of view, make the sentence.
That's a bit difficult. I've never done that. I don't know.
It is impossible.
Yeah.
It is not difficult. It is impossible. It is impossible to say something from the point of view of consciousness. That's why Buddha sat silently after enlightenment. Nothing can be said. Okay? About the real you, no words can be said. About reality, there cannot be any words. Okay? So whatever you're speaking now, what does that make it?
Just thoughts and ideas.
Have you heard this word called rant?
Uh-oh, I was ranting. Maybe.
That's all there is. There is nothing really that you can say apart from ranting. You understand? In reality, you cannot make any statement about yourself because you are the ocean. Whatever you're saying is only for a transaction. But you're taking the transaction to be reality. That's what we are trying to understand. How I am binding myself, or there is a feeling of suffering and limitation. It's all because of the words that I'm using. You understand? So with your own words, you are binding yourself. That's why Sri Krishna tells in the Bhagavad Gita, Mana eva karanam manushyanam bandha mokshayo. The mind is the cause. When I say mind is nothing but thoughts. Thoughts is nothing but words. Okay? With your words, you can either bind yourself or liberate yourself. You understand? Okay, Anuji. Very clear? No, not clear. What is not clear? Wait 1 second. It's not. Who feels?
My thoughts and emotions are the ones driving my action. Whatever I do is driven by those thoughts, emotions, and feelings. The I, which is where it's observing, is playing no part. And the mind is able to, it says, okay, you are there, you're observing what I know.
Correct.
So the only reality I know is those thoughts and emotions.
Right. The only reality that you know is the thoughts and emotion. Is that a true statement? The only reality I know is thoughts and emotions, meaning they are always there in your experience. They're not always there. There is a thought that there's always there, but it's not a continuous experience. Whether they're in deep sleep, they're not there in deep sleep. Whether they're there when you're immersed in your work. So in the last session also I told. So the question is, I know no other reality apart from my thoughts and emotion. That's the continuous background. I understand that there is some witnessing it, but the witness is useless because it has no impact on my life. My life is driven by my feelings, thoughts, and emotions, and it's making. I'm taking the action. So the feeling and I told about thought. How many thoughts you have per day? you have a lakh of thoughts per day. If all the thoughts, if you consider as one movement, one appearance, do you know in how much time you can fit all of them? How much time it will take to think all of those 1 lakh thoughts? How much time? So you said my only background is thought. How much time from our time perspective will you need to think all of the thoughts? Let's say in a day, yesterday's thoughts, if you condense them, if you remove all the gaps in between, in how much time will all those 1 lakh thoughts fit in? Less than a minute. Okay, wait, less than a minute is yesterday's thoughts. Now, what was the 24? Your waking hours was 15 hours, let's say. In 15 hours, 1 minute is all the thoughts that you thought the entire day. What about the 14 other hours? सब कुछ डाल दिया 1 minute. हाँ.
Those thought comes followed by emotion that the thought triggered, and I'm taking action based on those two things. So it feels amazing.
No, so a thought and emotion are not two different things. How do you know the emotion as a thought? Okay, that's fine. There's some thought which doesn't have an emotion. That's a thought with an emotion. So ultimately, both are thoughts. It is not real. It is giving you a sense that it is filling the 24 hours, but there are a lot of gaps in between. That's what I said. When I say condense all of the thoughts, including the emotions. That's fine. Right. So the gap is there. First thing to understand is if you condense your thought and emotion, it will be a very small time. What is there in the absence of that is actually your true self only. You're actually always in the state of Satchidananda, your true state. In that, there is an appearance. But I agree for the part to say the appearance is so overwhelming that it's covering. That's fine. But to say that reality is not there is not true. To say the gap is not there is not true. How do I see the gap? We'll address that. We'll address in the session. But first of all, is there a gap? There is a gap. There cannot not be a gap. Okay. Yeah, in deep sleep, there is absolutely no distortion at all. In dreaming, also there are gaps. In waking, also there are gaps. But you have not trained yourself to see the gaps. You've overtrained yourself to see the thought. It's like when you read a book. When you read a book, you see the print. But is there a gap? There's a lot of white space. But you are trained only to feel the words and make sense of the words. Okay.
In this case, how do I connect all those thoughts in one? If I can do that someday, then I will move that.
No, the secret is don't worry about the thought and emotion. Don't try to fight with them. Don't try to kill them. Only shift your attention to the one who knows them. Who has tried?
So there is something which can observe that there is a thought happening, and I can do the association of emotions with that thought. I'm able to differentiate that.
Both are unreal. What you say as I, the witness, and the witness, both are unreal. You are neither of them. Then what are you?
Those two things seem different. It seems meaningless because they're so powerful that they drive everything else I do. So, as I said earlier, there might be some consciousness, but so powerless that so mind basically says, like, fuck you. This is how I'll drive you.
Okay.
I'm driven by those mind,
Okay.
thought, and there's this observer which it plays no role.
Okay.
So if it's not playing any role, I can't see the value of it, or I can't see why I have to do that.
I have to sell God to you now. Okay, understood. I'll address that. Okay. Okay, let's just finish with the rest of them, and I'll address the question. That's the same topic that we're going to discuss today. I'll take that up in detail now. Okay. Okay, Vitali ji, were you all able to hear the discussion? Is that audible?
Yes.
Okay, so did you all get the context on the question?
Yes.
So
the question उनका question नहीं सुनता, but आपका answer समझ गया.
So the question is, there might be some consciousness and some witness, some Atman, and I might be that, but my reality is only my thoughts and emotions that I feel, and thoughts and emotions, they drive my actions and my life. And I have no experience of any thoughtlessness, right? Any emotionlessness state, maybe only in deep sleep, but in my waking state, my entire waking state is thought, emotion, feeling, and mind and body. I have absolutely no consciousness is only a word, another thought right now. So what is the way out of it? First of all, the way out needs a basic criteria to be fulfilled. That are you willing to explore? Are you willing to agree that there is something more and look at that? First thing. Okay, so there is something, and there is something that you can get in your current without changing anything in your life. You believe that I can get that? I can experience that, right? So that's the basic. So before we proceed, the basic requirement is, fine, all this is there, mukti and all is there. Is that relevant to me? Am I able to get it in sitting in Bangalore, sitting in London, sitting in wherever, Dublin? Is it sitting in Delhi? Can it be a reality to me, or is it only for people like Buddha and Mahavira and Krishna? Right? If it's only for those people, and if it takes some extreme alteration of my life, it's irrelevant to me. Okay, I will continue with my mind management, time management, and proceed, because there's no significant transformation in my life. Mamtaji, right? Otherwise, what is the whole point of spirituality? If it doesn't alter your life, if it doesn't bring any change, it's absolutely useless. So the first thing to understand is, it will completely transform your life. How will it transform? It will completely alter your level of experience. What you experience now is thought and emotion, and consciousness are unreal. The shift will be, consciousness is real, thought and emotion as moment to moment appearance. Now, how difficult it is to go to consciousness, it will be that difficult to go to thought and emotion. For a gnani, the way it is difficult for you to hold on to thoughtlessness, it is as difficult for a gnani to hold on to thought, to think, to actively feel I am the doer or create some emotion. There's a lot of effort. Do you think that's possible in your realm? So if that's a possibility in our realm of existence, that is what we are looking after. Yeah. Osho didn't run. Osho never did anything after enlightenment. Everything happened in his presence. Okay. Okay.
They have not all achieved enlightenment, yet their contribution is more than a contribution of, I don't, we talk about
See, contribution of anybody, of course, a scientist contributed something that has created technology for the next 100, 200 years. But the contribution of a Buddha or a Krishna is till the end of time, and maybe even beyond that. You ask, what is the contribution of Buddha? Practically, right? Contribution of Buddha is individual transformation, which no amount of technological or science can do. Do you think it's possible to remove suffering of an individual and to do it at scale? That's what Buddha did. Let's only talk about Buddha's contribution. Buddha's contribution was, and when he was alive, brought peace to almost half the world, which was the complete western part of India and that side, the northern regions. Okay. In his own time, he had 10,000 bhikshus who were enlightened. And when I say enlightened, would become completely free from any sense of individuality. 10,000 people. It will never reduce. Even if you will get enlightened, it will not reduce. I'm not telling you get enlightened, suffering of the world will reduce. No, it will not happen. No amount of individual enlightenment will change the world. Buddhas have come and gone. You think your enlightenment will change the world? No, it will not happen. No matter what you do, the world's problem will not end. Even if you build a world biggest world's hospital, you build a machine that will, people will go inside, come outside, heal, nothing. That will not solve the world's problem. Some other problem will end up. The nature of the world is it will be perpetually the way it is. No matter which Buddha comes, which Krishna comes, which avatar comes, anybody comes. The world will not be in you. This is not about, enlightenment is not at all about the world. Okay, the problem is not with the world. Is your problem the world or you? What is happening in you? You were a child? How long ago were you a child? Some 40 years ago, right? When you were in the same world, that time also some war was going on, something much worse were going on. Were you affected? You were blissful? That's all. Doesn't matter to you. Same thing. So it has nothing to do with the world. If you are free, that's all, that's more than enough. The question is, do you want that or do you want more? Is your aspiration that my realization to transform the world? It will transform the world. What's the point of you being free, being peaceful? Okay. Okay. Right.
Why am I being put to this? What's the point of this play that is going on?
Okay. Now you're changing the question.
No, so why didn't I care about, like, if I have to go through this, I'll go through this and die. In my lifetime, how does it enlightenment?
You will not have all these questions. You'll be at peace. You'll be like the version that you were as a child, blissful, happy, peaceful, unconditionally, joyful, without questions. Vidyate hridaya granthi, chidyate sarva samshaya. So the question is, I don't know how much of the conversation you're able to hear. The question is, what will happen because of my realization or enlightenment? The teaching of Vedanta or the scriptures is Vidyate hridaya granthi, chidyate sarva samshaya. This is the impact, the phala shuddhi. Vidyate hridaya granthi means there is a knot in your heart right now. Okay, there's a suffering, deep sense of limitation that I'm an individual. Okay, one thing, I'm an individual, and there is something other than me. And there's a lack of experience of love and happiness. Anytime that you try to catch it, you lose it. Okay, and there's no way with whatever intelligence you have, you're able to catch and fulfill that lacuna in your heart. That's called hridaya granthi. You have that hridaya granthi. That will chidyate hridaya granthi. It will be destroyed. No longer will you feel a incompleteness. First phala. Is that useful to your life? Right? If that disappears from your life, it is practically altering your life. Don't tell it's just nothing. It's not just nothing. It's your life. Your entire experience, no matter what you create, internally, if that Hridaya Granthi is there, your life is a mess and it will create another life. Okay. So Vidyate Hridaya Granthi means once that is destroyed, you are light. You're so light. That's why we say the enlightened people, it said that Jesus walked on water. Meaning he's so light. No Hridaya Granthi. No, there's no knot in the heart. The heart is free from any heaviness. Okay. The greatest heaviness, you know what you carry? All this I did, it didn't work out for me. Right? For somebody else, there is a hope. Apna time aayega. Kabhi to aayega apna time. But after a long time, you realize it didn't come. Apna time nahi aaya. I didn't, no amount of anything that I got, I thought marriage will do it. Marriage didn't do it. Children will do it. Children didn't do it. Action will do it. Action didn't do it. Then I'm in a hopeless condition. That hopeless condition will be resolved. First phala. Chidyate Hridaya Granthi. Vidyate Hridaya Granthi. Chidyate Sarva Samshayaha. Meaning, you will not have any doubts about what? About you, about world, about God. I'm not telling doubts about subject. Not that the enlightened person knows. If he opens a quantum physics books, he'll know the answer. There'll be no fundamental doubts about what is life, what is the purpose of life, why am I here, who am I? All those doubts will get cleared. There's absolute clarity on all those blind spots. Now, these two are the phalashruti of enlightenment. So the conversation was, what is the use of this enlightenment? What is the use of finding consciousness? The use is Vidyate Hridaya Granthi, Chidyate Sarva Samshaya. You tell me, is that useful? Will that alter your life? It will end your life as you know it. Okay? And whatever perception you have that the world is like this is absolutely false. Whatever perception you have of the world, there is suffering in the world, is also false. Whatever perception you have that there are individuals is also false. So somebody, after Buddha got enlightened, somebody asked Buddha, what did you realize after you got enlightened? Buddha said, I realized that the world is full of Buddhas. His experience is not that there's an individual suffering and bounded. His experience that he's only consciousness, and that consciousness is my consciousness. Will that have an impact on your life? After that happens, whatever needs to happen through your body and mind will continue without all these distortions. Now what is happening? Without that, you are living a very unconscious programmed life. What you call as the Hridaya Granthi, the thoughts and emotions, is that in your control? Right now, it's not in your control. Would you like to have control? That's what will happen. You will get absolute control. That's the power that you want, right? I would like to have control on my uncontrolled thoughts and emotions. Have I sold enlightenment to you enough? That's what will happen. Okay, that's the whole point of enlightenment. Enlightenment means no more uncontrolled thoughts and emotion. And the thoughts and emotions are not the real problem. The real problem is your self-identity. From where the thoughts and emotions are coming? They're coming from some identity, some self-identity, false self-identity that you have. That's the primary. If that is not there, the thoughts and emotions won't arise. Did you see the connection? Do you understand where? Like you trace any thought, it will be because of some identity that you have. Okay? That identity has been strengthened because of some experiences of life. Okay, so you have some identity. Let's say the identity of a woman as a self-identity. Now, some experiences you will have in life, some bad experiences, maybe because you're a woman, some good experiences, some bad experiences. Those good experiences and bad experience will reinforce that identity. I'm a woman. Okay, and that will constantly keep you in a state of stress, because that self-identity of woman, let's say that identity is weak. The perception is the world perceives women as weak. Okay, and that has entered in your head because of the experiences. Now that will create thoughts, continuous thoughts, anxiety, fear. Wherever you go, you're like, you're afraid. Your decisions are based on that. All that is because of self-identity, not the thought. Thought is not the problem. Thought is a mechanism of the nature to protect the identity. You understand? Like when your body is a self-healing machine. If you cut it, it'll heal itself. In the same way is the mind. Mind's job is to protect the identity. Body's job is protect the body. Mind's job is protect the identity. Whatever identity you give, it will protect. How it will protect? The body protects the body by creating the fighting the right bacteria and blood and everything. The mind creates thoughts, emotions to protect identity. Now, if you see through the identity, the journey of spirituality is from this self-identity to self-awareness. When I say self-awareness, becoming aware of the real self, becoming free from all false identities. Now, the thoughts that you have, emotions that you have, are because of the false identities. If you become free from the false identities, you will go back to your original state as child, like a child. That's why I don't know how many of you understand Kannada. In Kannada, there's a saying, "Makkalagadiddare mukti illa." Okay, has anybody heard this? Makkalagadiddare mukti illa. Meaning, the literal translation is, if you don't have children, there's no mukti. That's not the right translation. Makkala hage agadiddare mukti illa. Meaning, until you don't become like a child, internally, peaceful, blissful, then there is no mukti. Mukti means becoming like a child, but being an adult, not acting childish. Having the internal state of a child. Peace, love. No, child doesn't have Hriday Granthi. Did you have Hriday Granthi? There's no heaviness for the child. That is why when you look at the child's eye, there's a sparkle in the child's eye. There's no Hriday Granthi. There's no judgment of life. Vidyate Hriday Granthi. Chidyate Sarvasamshaya. No doubt. The child has no questions. Later, as it grows up, it becomes very curious. But the enlightened being has no questions out of wisdom. He has attained clarity about he or she has gone into inquiry and arrived at a conclusion. Is this much clear to you? Any doubts so far? Hriday Granthi understood? What is the effect of enlightenment understood? Okay, is it useful to you? Anybody else? Any doubt? Did you all get the question and answer? Okay. Now let's. Who else is left? Mitali ji. I think Mitali ji and who else left? Anuji, you spoke? No, not yet. Okay, quickly. Mitali ji and Anuji, just finish off and we'll get to the journey of how to go there. Starting with Mitali ji.
Okay. Previous session से जो मुझे समझ में आया और जो मैंने प्रैक्टिस करने की कोशिश की वो है कि रोल को बहुत ज्यादा सीरियसली ना लो और रोल से डिटैच रहने की कोशिश किया मैंने और वो रियली हेल्पफुल रहा मेरे लिए।
कुछ फायदा हुआ?
हाँ, मुझे जो पहले बहुत ज्यादा थोड़ा सा ज्यादा ही गुस्सा आ जाता था, ये इरिटेशन होता था, वो चीजें काफी हद तक घट गई, काफी हद तक। और जैसे आपने कहा ना, थॉट्स आते रहते हैं, तो थॉट्स मेरे आते नहीं रहते हैं अभी। जैसे कई बार ऐसा होता है कि मेरे थॉट्स नहीं आते, मैं सो जाती हूँ। मतलब मैं सोचने की कोशिश करती हूँ, बट कई बार होता है कि ब्लैंक है और मैं सो गई। मुझे सुबह उठ के पता चला कि अरे मैं कोशिश कर रही थी सोचने की कुछ, एंड वो स्टॉप हो चुका था। तो आई थिंक ये हेल्पफुल है मेरे लिए काफी। रोल को जो सीरियसली लिया, मैं वो चीज नहीं कर पाई। आपने जो बोला था कि बॉडी, माइंड एंड इंटेलेक्चुअल एंड आई एम द ऑब्जर्वर, बहुत ज्यादा मैं प्रैक्टिकली मतलब नहीं कर पाई। लेकिन हाँ डिटाच होके रोल को वो मैंने काफी हद तक कोशिश किया एंड सक्सेसफुल भी रही, ये मैं कह सकती हूँ।
वेरी गुड।
और
अनुजी?
काफी हद तक आज आसपास में भी, सराउंडिंग्स में भी काफी पॉजिटिवनेस मुझे में तो था ही, और मेरे थ्रू दूसरों में भी काफी पॉजिटिवनेस फील हो रहा था कि हाँ
अरे
जहाँ
वाह,
मैं गुड, आई फील गुड।
बहुत अच्छा, बहुत अच्छा।
थैंक यू।
अनुजी?
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste.
For me, it is like two things I wanted to do from the first session. One is detachment, and the other one is less judgment,
Okay.
which I wanted to practice seriously. Judgmental, yeah, I've achieved I was able to being less judgmental about situations, other persons around me, everything. But the other one, I seriously failed. I was not able to detach. There is always a conflict between the intellect and the soul. I mean, soul or Atma, whatever you tell me. I was trying, but sometimes in few instances I was able to detach myself and see from observe the situation. But
Okay.
in few instances I couldn't. I was not able to do it. I was not able to achieve it actually. But after that instance, I seriously try and analyze where I went, where I got so much involved, because it's been so much of deep thought process. So the detachment is not easy for me. So
Everybody
I'm
seems
trying
to have
to.
the same problem. Okay.
So I mostly I try to observe, and it is a learning process. I'm just trying to implement it.
Okay. So a lot of you, I don't know, unfortunately you're not here. I could have beaten you with the scale, but whoever is here, I'll beat them on your behalf also. Take the beating. A lot of you are using the words. So don't underestimate the word I. Okay. Carelessly using the word I. Whatever you said using the word I is absolutely false. I tried, I never tries. I succeeded, I never succeeds. I failed, I never fails. Nothing is happening to the I. So you have to make a clear distinction between what is real I and what is unreal I. Okay, there is a whole exercise, there is a whole journey of spirituality from the unreal I to the real I. From the unrealized self-identity. Okay, and the real I is pure awareness. Is everybody clear about this? The unreal I is self-identity. What you call as ego, individual, me, mine. All that is the, or instead of calling it unreal I, let's call it a changing I. It's a changing I. Forget about reality or unreality of it. Does it change all the time? Sometimes your I is I'm happy. Sometimes I'm sad. Sometimes I'm clear. Sometimes I'm unclear. Sometimes I'm a success. Sometimes I'm a failure. You say, right? So there is a changing I. Okay. Sometimes I'm in pain. Sometimes I'm no pain. So there's a you're always talking about some I, but you are using it in the context of change. Okay, so you say I was born, I lived somewhere, and I came here. I was in Bangalore, then I went to London, I went to Dubai, somewhere. Okay, so you're always referring to some I, and that seems to be a changing I. Is this part clear, everybody? So there's a changing I, and there's an unchanging I. So the changing I is very clear to me. Whatever I say as me is a changing I. It's in my experience. What is this unchanging I? Is the changing I clear to everybody? What is unchanging I? Is there an unchanging I? You know what is when I say unchanging I, the very definition, the very word says it is unchanging. It doesn't change in any way. It cannot be improved anymore. It cannot go down. It cannot depreciate or appreciate. It cannot become better. It cannot evolve. There's no evolution for that I. Understand? That unchanging I is the real I. It's called awareness. Why is it unchanging? Let's say you were born, you grew up. What all changed? The body changed, the mind changed, the intellect changed. Okay. But there is something that did not change. What is that? If something that, if everything changed, then you would be a different person after a few years. In 10 years, every single cell of the body changes. Okay. So practically every 10 years, you have a new body, although it looks the same, looks like you, but it's a new body. If that is so, if everything changes in you, you should become a new person. Do you become a new person? Physically, you become a new person. But you say that I was a child. That I is still continuing. Is there a break in that continuation of the I?
No.
Identity is child is changed. But the one who's taking that identity, has that changed? You took the identity of a child, you took the identity of a teenager, you took the identity of a grown-up. But you take altogether identity, you became some woman or something, you became somebody else, some other being. No, there is some continuous background on which a child is appearing, middle age is appearing, old age is appearing. Do you refer to all of them as I? So you have childhood photos. When you show to people, you say it's me. What is me in that picture? What part of me is there in that picture? Is the body you? Is the body there? It's not there. It's changed. But you're pointing to something unchanging and saying that is me. Do you understand, Vivek? You're pointing to the unchanging, but you're referring it, you're using it as changing. There is something. One second.
Atma.
I've just lost this.
Is it Atma?
Just a moment. Somebody's joining. Oh, that's fine. Okay, so there is the unchanging I. Understand? And there is a changing I. Is this part clear? Not clear. It's very clear. Okay, what is the changing I? Okay. 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 Yeah. Right.
In the past, because my experience is there, memory of the experience is there, it has no doubt that that was what I call me.
Yeah.
The unchanging life, there's no experience of that constant. For me, everything has been a variable that has been
very. So, did everybody get the point? The answer that was given? Can you repeat loudly, Vivek? Life has been a variable that has taken on new values, very mathematical term. Okay. 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 Okay, so there is a constant, which is the unchanging I. There is a variable. I only experience a variable. I have never experienced a constant. Is that the statement? So spirituality, the spiritual journey, is to point out that there is only, you can only ever experience a constant. Your experience of the variable is not reality. Do you exist? Can you prove it? That doesn't prove your existence. Machine also can do that. Do you exist? Not because of that, you don't say you exist. because you know I exist, you exist. Is there a doubt in existence? If I tell you you do not exist, can you believe that? No matter what theory I give about you do not exist, it is you cannot accept that because you know you exist. It's a self-luminous knowledge to you. And that self-luminous knowledge to you, I exist, is regardless of any variables in your own terms. Do you need any variables to make that statement? Do you exist in the absence of all variables? You exist, right? That is you. That is the unchanging eye. Does that existence exist in the presence of variables? No. The question is, you know you exist in the absence of variables. Do you exist in the presence of variables? Right now, you are variables. When I say variables, body, mind, thought, intellect, feeling, emotion. Right? You are that constant, the one that is in the absence of variables also. That is the unchanging eye. So, can you die? Can that constant die? Look at the variables. Can that constant die? No, it's not true. That is one that is holding the variable. The axle, without that, you're saying without the axle, it doesn't matter. How will the wheel move? There's a constant. The axle is a constant. With the constant only can the wheel move, right? Ah, okay. Okay. Okay.
But you take everything out, and that one constant can continuously falling. At some point in time, gravity has no meaning. It can exist or it doesn't exist. I continue to fall and not feel even that I'm falling. It is bottomless and there's no.
The word falling itself doesn't mean anything. No.
That constant, although it might be there, it has no meaning.
It has a meaning. If you recognize it in the presence of variables, it has no meaning in the absence of variables. It has no meaning in the absence of variables. Whenever you remove the word body and all, it's useless. In the presence of variable, if you recognize the constant, there is a value. And that recognizing the constant in the presence of variable is called mukti. To associate yourself as a variable is bondage. Right now, you're associated with the variable. That's why you're shaking. What is the variable that you are attached to, associated with? Not attached to, associated with. You're associated with, I am the identity. Okay. I am these identities, all that. And that identities also keep changing. They keep varying. In front of your employer, you have one identity. In front of me, you have one identity. In front of your child, you have one identity. In front of your dog, you have one identity. In front of the spouse, you have an identity. So that identity, identifying the identity and taking the identity to be real is a problem. So spirituality is not about becoming free from the variables. It is finding the constant. That's all. When you find the constant, you will know variable as variable. That's all. If spirituality is not about becoming detached, spirituality is about realizing that the constant can never be attached. That's why it's a constant. If it becomes attached, it's no longer a constant. It's become bound. You understand? To realize your true nature as Satchit Ananda. What is Satchit Ananda? Is existence, first thing. Existence is constant. Do you all exist? That existence, that I know I exist, is the unchanging I. Are you conscious? Are you able to know things? You know the presence and absence of thought. So you're the chit, you're the knowing principle. You know sadness, you know happiness. You know life, you know death. You know sleep, you know wakefulness. You know darkness, you know light. Clearly, you're not both of them. You know wisdom, you know ignorance. Do you? I'm asking you. Don't have to take everything I say for granted. You can question. You know both. You know both presence of thought. You're very well acquainted with that. Do you know the absence of thought? Maybe when you become high or some substance or something. How you get it doesn't matter. You know the absence of thought. So that means you're beyond both. When I say beyond, okay, let's not use the word beyond. You are not both. You know both. You know both. If you were both, you cannot not be that. Right? So it's like saying you are not fat. You have fat. Okay, so you can all the people who have some overweight, you can feel happy. You are not fat. You have fat. There's a distinction. Don't ever say I am fat. I am thought. I am body. No, you know the presence of the body. So you know the presence of this body. In 10 years, you know the presence of some other body. If you were body, that will also change. That knowing also will change. Does the knowing change? That knowing principle is chit. So is Sat clear? Is Sat clear to everybody? Sat is existence. Do you all know that you exist? You exist when you're awake, you exist when you're sleeping, you exist in deep sleep. When even the world disappears, you exist, correct? So Sat is existence. You understand? And not only you exist, the world exists, this chair exists, the wall exists. The wall has the principle of existence. It is. So as isness, there is no duality. You are, I am, she is, that is. You understand? There is no duality in existence. Existence is non-dual. Everything exists. Okay? When the object is not there, there's no question at all, because the object is not there. So your Sat and your Chit, you know, right? Chit part is clear. I know, and that I know doesn't change. What I know changes. Today I know this subject, tomorrow I know that subject. What I know changes. The knower doesn't change. Or it's not right to say knower. The knowing principle. It's a knowing principle. Knower also, you know the knower. You say there's a secondary appearance. It's also a variable. The knower can know and not know. But the knowing principle knows both. Knows the knowing of the knower and knows the unknowing of the knower. For example, what subject do you really good at? Math. So I'm really good at math. So the knowing principle knows that the knower, the intellect is the knower. Intellect knows the math. It also knows that it doesn't know so many things in math or so many things in medicine. Do you understand? So you're not the knower. You're the knowing principle that knows the knowing and the unknowing of something. You understand? That is Chit. Is Chit clear to everybody? Is Sat clear? Sat is I exist. And that I exist is there regardless of any external object or internal object. Do you exist in the absence of the body? In your deep sleep, there is no body, right? But do you exist? You exist. So existence, that pure existence, is the real I, unchanging I. That is about, and that unchanging I has three qualities: quality of Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Okay, I'm just explaining what is the unchanging I. Unchanging I is Sat, Chit, Ananda. Sat is existence. It exists. It exists in the presence and absence of everything. It can never be attached. Why? There is no attachment possible for the existence, because there is no separation possible in existence. Whatever you bring in exists. The moment you bring it in, it exists. So it's already part of existence. So there is no duality possible in existence, hence no attachment. So what is your real nature? Existence and detachment is your nature. Mamta ji, going over the head, scratching your head. Ye kya ho raha hai? You understand? Your nature is detachment. Not that you have got an attachment, you have to become detached. You can never get attached. You can have a delusion that I'm attached. That is being drunk. You can never get attached, even if you want to. When I say you, I'm referring to the unchanging eye. Can you get attached? Then you say, I feel attached. But I feel is not you. You have to see who is that I. I will take a pause here. I'll continue, but we'll take a pause. Is so far, I know it's we elaborated on one discussion. Is everybody following the discussion? Is it making sense to you, or is it not? This is not relevant to the discussion.
This is Kundan here. I have a question. I may not be diverting the topic, just to ask. I see there is a sense of time here. Sense of time in the sense that I am constant, then it is timelessness. And when I am attaching myself to time, I see there is what you called is the body part of it. So is there any concept of this? Because I'm just exploring it and I'm finding it that these two are related.
See, in Sat, in existence, time and space appear. Okay. For like how do they happen? In your dream, a world appears. A world with its own time, which is different from your waking time, and its own space, which is not at all connected to the waking space, appears. Okay. But here I'm talking about, where does it appear? It appears in you, the unchanging eye. Okay. Time is a variable. Space is what you perceive. But one who perceives that is beyond both time and space. You are beyond time and space, and you experience time and space. But the time and space doesn't affect the I. The I is, the unchanging I is beyond time and beyond space. We'll go deeper into time and space in another session because it needs a lot of clarity. Today, we'll just understand the distinction between Atma and Anatma. This is a very fundamental concept in Vedanta called Atma Anatma Viveka. Okay, the clarity of what is Atma, what is Anatma, what is changing I, what is unchanging I, me, and what is changing I. So what are you, Atma or Anatma? So the scriptures say, and enlightened beings say, you're Atma. How I am Atma is the journey. And Atma is Sat, Chit, Ananda. Sat is existence, it exists. It has no duality. It is conscious, meaning it is the knowing principle, and it is Ananda, it is blissful. The bliss means there is no shortcoming in the Atma. There is no incompleteness in the Atma. Bliss don't think some sort of ecstasy or some feeling in the body. Bliss simply means there's no limitation for you. Like as a child, you don't feel limited. Although you have a body, you're operating through a body, the child doesn't feel limited. Right? That is Ananda. Sat Chit Ananda. If I can live always with the reference of the unchanging I, then you are free. It's called Mukti. Then you have moved from the changing I, which is identity, to awareness. You're established in awareness. And what happens because of established in awareness, I already told earlier. So journey of spirituality is from self-identity, self-false identity. So we have many identities. I'm a man, I'm this, I'm that, I'm a husband, I'm a wife, I'm an employee, I'm a doctor, I'm an engineer, lawyer. All those are roles and identities, but they're not you. Roles are also fine. I can get rid of them. But what about I am body? You can get rid of the roles. You can play the role, not play the role. But you have the deeper level of identities. I am the body. I am the mind. This is me. So Vedanta is about inquiring into that. Of course, initially taking away the roles, detachment from the roles, but ultimately inquiring into how you're not the body or the mind. Your confusion is only there. You're thinking the body and mind to be the unchanging I, which it is not. You understand? And they were claiming to be some I. And that I is the ego, which is a shadow, which doesn't exist. It is also a variable. Is your ego constant? Do you know what is the ego? When I say word ego, what does it mean to you?
I don't see ego is constant. It is kind of attached to what is Atma. So when somebody is saying it is, yeah, it's a variable.
Yeah, it's a variable, exactly. So ego is also a variable, but you live your daily life as if you're the ego, which is the I thought. Ego means I thought. I thought is not I. I thought is a point to the I. You understand? I thought is ego, which also appears, and sometimes you are so involved in some activity, there is no I thought. But who is doing the activity then? Who is doing the activity? You're coding. Okay. That time you don't have a sense of I am doing, I am not doing. It's just happening through you. Spontaneous action is happening. Once the action is done, the ego claims I did. So is the ego constant or a variable? What is the constant when you're coding also? There's some constant. What is the constant? Can the coding happen without your existence? Without your knowing? That is the I. That is a real you. And that real you is deathless, birthless, enlightenmentless. There can be no enlightenment for that real you. Atma cannot get enlightened. So mukti is for whom? Mukti is for, there's a perception in your, there's a false idea in you that I am something. To become free from that false idea is mukti. In reality, mukti also is not real. You understand? Because mukti, to become real, there should be a real entity who will get mukti. Which entity will get mukti? Atma cannot get mukti. Changing I cannot get mukti because it's changing. Who's getting mukti? To realize that this is happening is mukti. Otherwise, you're part of it. You're part of the variable. To become the, to go back to the constant. So the journey is from. Sorry.
Does this mean that you are cleansing your all the attachment with your I or the Atma, so that you get a mukti from all the attachments, basically?
No, I don't know if you were. I don't know when you joined, Kundanji. I was explaining about how the nature of Atma is detachment. Atma can never be attached. Okay, because there is no other in the Atma. To have some other only, you can have attachment, right? The other is a perception, Atma. And the perception is false. So the three levels of realization which I spoke earlier is realization means first to realize I am Atma, I am self. Second to realize Jagat Nitya, the world is unreal. Third to realize the world, what I see is me. When I say me, Atma. Brahma Satya, Jagan Nitya, Sarvam Khaluvidam Brahma. These are the three parts or aspects of realization that we are contemplating on. And how will this happen? It's a journey from self-identities. There are some self-identities. I identify with my body, mind, emotions, and thoughts. And I have no understanding or knowledge of what is beyond them. So from this self-identity, and I thought to make the journey towards self-awareness, getting established in pure awareness, which is Satchit Ananda. Is this much clear before I continue? We have a few more minutes. I'll just stitch this together and continue. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Kundanji. You're on mute, please.
No, so it's a very clear. Sorry, I interrupted your flow actually. Yeah.
Okay. No problem. So have you all played Snake and Ladder? Played Snake and Ladder? So the Snake and Ladder is actually created by Indians. It's called Mokshapath. The game in India, it's a very ancient game. I think 1st century or 2nd century it was invented. The game is called Mokshapath, Snake and Ladder. And in the Mokshapath, there are from 1 to, you see, from 1 to 100, and you start at 1, and you have to play the dice and you have to move ahead. If a snake bites you, you come back. You take 3 steps ahead, you come back. And then there are some ladders that will push you to the next level. And then there's one big ladder that will take you directly to the end. Is everybody aware of this? This is called Mokshapath. So the intelligent ancestors put the journey of this self from self identity to awareness as the game called Snake and Ladder. Okay, the snakes represent vasanas, impressions, programs. Okay, what does the snake represent? Vasanas. That's why in the deities, right? Some of the deities have snake. The Narayana is sleeping on a snake. Shiva has a snake around the neck. So snake is poisonous. If it bites you, you die. But Shiva has a snake around the neck. The vasana for Shiva that usually creates suffering for people is an ornament for Shiva. He uses the vasana. Whereas for us, the vasana uses us. What do you say, right? You made the statement, thought, emotions, they drive my action. That is the vasana driving the action. The snake is driving the body. For Shiva, for the Gnani, it's an ornament. It's a dead snake. He uses the snake whenever required. He uses the vasana, uses the body, uses the mind. Whereas you are used by the vasana. So the snake represents the vasana. So in the vasana, you just take 1 step, you will come back another 10 steps. So you make some improvement. You go to some spiritual class, do some bhajans. Mind is so peaceful. Again, come back 2 steps, 10 steps rather. Nothing seems to last. Okay, so all these ladders refer to some sort of spiritual upliftment. Maybe breathing practice, yoga. They refer to various other spiritual paths. Karma yoga, doing some action, bhakti yoga, having some devotion, or reading some book, Jnana yoga. But beyond all of those ladders, and all these ladders don't seem to help. Every time you take 1 step, you come back 3 steps. Okay, and there's another snake, another vasana will catch you, which you didn't know existed. See, you'll think that, okay, I'm free from this thought pattern. Then some new thought pattern will come up. Somehow you're not able to become free from the vasanas. The only way to the mukti is they kept one ladder which goes directly to the mukti. What is that ladder? Huh?
Atma Gnana.
That ladder is called Vichara Marga. No other path will take you to the end. Ultimately, you have to inquire. All other paths lead to the path of inquiry. You understand? The only with inquiry, you have to inquire into the ignorance that you have. And that path is called inquiry into who I am I? And it's called Sankhya Yoga. It's a very mathematical process. Okay, so that's what in the snake and ladder, there are 2 types of ladder. One is the final ladder. Then there are small ladders. They refer to the two paths for mukti, enlightenment. That is what Sri Krishna tells in the Bhagavad Gita. Repeat after me. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. Lokesmin Vividha Nishta Pura Prokta Maya Nagha Gnana Yogena Sankhyanam Karma Yogena Yogina. So two types of ladder. One is Sankhya Yoga, direct to Mukti. That's called Vichara Marga. And there are other smaller ladders. They're called Karma Yoga. But ultimately, all other ladders will not get you to the derived result, which is it will only take you to some other next level. It will not free you from all the levels. Okay. So the two paths, which is Sankhya Yoga and Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga, I'll put whatever, to simplify it, the path of doing and the path of inquiry. Who am I is the direct path, and what should I do is the other path. So in any path, any other path, you go, you always have a question: what should I do? Okay, I finished 1008 times of pranayama. Now what should I do? That what should I do will never go away. I did so much bhajans. Now what should I do? I did so many hours of meditation. Now what should I do? That what should I do will never end. So the what should I do to end is who am I? That is the Vichara Marga. That's a direct path. Okay, this path was, this is the most ancient path, which is called Vichara Marga, path of Vedanta. That's why it's called Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya means mathematics. You know that? Sankhya means number system. It is a very precise system. It's not mystical. Other paths are very mystical. Karma, result, you don't know. It's all beyond you. But the Sankhya part is, it's talking about your own experience. Thought, feeling, emotion, changing eye, unchanging eye. Atma, Anatma. Using your own reference, no miracle. You don't, it's not nothing that says that, okay, you sit in silence, some light will come and reveal all the secrets to you, nothing like that. 1 + 1 is 2 in this path. It's called who am I? Vichara Marga. You inquire. And this path is a traditional Vedantic path. It's the most ancient path that has been passed down by master to disciple. Ramana Maharshi. I keep sharing Ramana Maharshi's posts on the group. Ramana Maharshi revived this path in the new era. And there are other masters called Atma Krishna Menon, who is from Kerala, who extensively followed this path. There was a master called Puttu Raja in Karnataka, who is the guru of my guru, and he also prescribed this path, self-inquiry, vichara, which led to the clarity. And I learned the same from my Sadguru, and I'm passing this on to you. So it's a path that has been tested like a scientific theory. No? It is verified by many people across the globe under various situations, and they've arrived at the expected result. It's a very scientific and mathematical path, Sankhya Yoga, and this is the direct path. Okay, what is the direct path? Directly inquire into who am I? Am I the changing eye, or am I the unchanging eye? And the path to progress, you cannot progress on your own. It needs a guru, and the guru is called Sadguru. Sadguru means a realized master, but the realized master who takes you through the process is called Karanaguru. There might be many Sadgurus, but they're irrelevant to you. They won't come and spend time on you. So the person who takes on the responsibility to handhold you and save you from all the snakes, take you to the end, is called a Karanaguru. That person becomes the Karanaguru, meaning they become the reason for you to take the plunge. Is it clear so far? Snake and ladder. So which level are you stuck in? Which snake is biting you right now? Ultimately, you have only two ways ahead: snake or ladder. Okay, and any ladder you go will not take you to the end. It has to be the biggest ladder. Otherwise, snake. That is why you have not. The snake and ladder also tells you exactly where you are. If you're not in see what happens, people get stuck at various ladders, various stages. They feel that, or they get exposed to some wisdom. They think that this is it. Many people who would meditate in Osho's disciple or Buddha's disciple, they feel some sort of peace because of the presence of the master. Then they think the peace is enlightenment. Peace is liberation. Peace is not. Peace beyond peace also. Okay, so to not get stuck at any stage, is the requirement for is the utility of the master. Otherwise, you can go by your own. But human mind generally gets stuck somewhere. And the snake will somewhere catch. The vasana will come up. And there's no way you can free yourself. That is why even the Devatas, when they're doing Samudra Mantana, they pray to Shiva to come and drink the poison. Nobody else can take that. That Shiva represents the Guru. That poison represents the vasana. The snake has the poison. Snake is the vasana. Some inherent vasana will be lying in you, which you don't know. It's very dormant. That will be creating all the thought patterns. To navigate you from that and help you inquire and help you realize what is your reality. It's the journey. And please don't understand, the Guru will give you enlightenment. Guru will only help you inquire. Guru is like the policeman. His only job is to ask questions. Then you will blurt out all the answers. This is the journey of Atma Darshana, told in the simple game of snake and ladders. Is it clear? So, what is unchanging eye? What is changing eye? To discriminate between changing and unchanging eye is the whole. That changing eye or unchanging eye के बीच में everything is there. Existence. You resolve that, no more existence. No more mukti, no more bondage. Everything is in between the changing and unchanging eye. And all the time, you're using when you use the word I, you're speaking about the changing eye, but referring to the unchanging eye. You understand? So you say, I ate food. Who ate food? The body ate food. But you're referring to something that never eats food, that never eats. You see the mistake that you're doing? You say, my stomach, I am hungry. The body is hungry. The one who's the I, that is, I can never be hungry. You're bringing in the I and using it in the context of a transaction. And you've done this so many times, you've diluted that unchanging eye is getting affected. Unchanging eye is never affected. You say, I am depressed. Is unchanging eye depressed? Is unchanging eye depressed? Ever depressed? Unchanging eye can never be depressed. But you are depressed. Why? Who is that you who is depressed? Ego also can never be depressed. It's a shadow. How can a shadow be depressed? Mind is depressed? Mind is thought. That's why it's called Maya. Nothing is there, but you're experiencing something because of words. And all these great psychologists and psychiatrists and therapists reinforce your delusion. You go and say, I am depressed. Oh, yes, you are depressed. I'll give you medicine. Nothing is happening. You are seeing something. There's nothing there, but you're seeing something, and you've trained yourself to see something. When you see the seer, who is the unchanging eye, shift your attention to the seer. Then life transforms. When you're dreaming, you're going through a nightmare. The moment you question, is this a dream? What happens? It ends. You jump to another dream. Have you observed that? Have you observed that, people? Whatever dream you're dreaming, the moment, let's say in the dream, for some reason you got a thought, hey, is this a dream? The dream immediately ends. Have you observed that? You might go to a different dream where you completely forget and you start all over again. But that dream ends. That's what's happened in the waking state. In the waking state, when you realize, I am not these identities, I'm the unchanging I, through the process of systematic mathematical process of Vedanta, it's step by step. It's not like you'll make the leap in one day. It's breaking down the illusions that you have. Cut. Then there'll be a point where there's nothing more you can cut. That's called Vedanta. Eliminate. There are a lot of viruses in the system. Each of them have to be seen through. If you leave something in unawareness, it will come back. To shed light on every aspect of your conscious and unconscious. Is it clear? Sheshadriji? Did you miss some part of the session? Did you hear?
Yes, I didn't understand chit part of it.
You didn't understand chit.
Yeah.
You understood sat.
Yes.
Sat is I exist. So let's say you're in a dark room. If I ask you, is your wife there? What will be your answer?
I can't see anything.
I can't see. You don't know. If I ask you, is there a book there? What is your answer?
I don't know.
You don't know. Are you there?
Yes, I am there.
That I am there is sat. The sat doesn't need any external illumination to prove its existence. You know your existence. That is sat. The sat has a ability to know. I know I exist, right? And I know something else exists or something else doesn't exist. That knowing principle is chit, consciousness. You understand? It's a knowing principle. It's not the knower. You have the ability to know the presence and absence of objects and the subject.
So I exist. That's what I can hear you.
So okay, first of all, I see the mug. For me to say I see the mug, I have to exist. Mug has to exist, and I have to see. Three things have to happen: seer, seen, and seeing has to happen. Three things, right? Seer, seen, seeing. Seer is sat, I exist. Okay. Seen is object. Seen is knowing. Seen is basically I know that it's there. That is seeing. And that you can apply seeing to everything, all other perceptions, seeing, hearing, touching, all other five senses. So all the five senses ultimately become knowing. I know the presence or absence of something. So you say, I see the mug and I don't see the mug. Correct? Your ability to know, it doesn't depend on the presence or absence of the mug. You know the presence of the mug and the absence of the mug. That knowing principle is consciousness.
So can you say it is an awareness?
Awareness, same thing. Awareness and consciousness are synonymous. Okay? That is called pure awareness or pure consciousness. And that is what you are. You are awareness, you are consciousness, you are the knowing principle. In the Vedantic term, it's called as prajna. That's why it's called Pragnanam Brahma. Pragnanam Brahma means Brahman knows presence, absence, everything and nothing, both. You understand?
Yes.
Everything and nothing is an appearance in Brahman. Sat, Chit. Ananda, you know, understood?
No, Ananda.
Ananda is no feeling of individuality, no limitation. What you experience in deep sleep. In your deep sleep, you experience Ananda. Ananda is bliss, is not the same as happiness. Please don't confuse Ananda with I feel a law, very infinite happiness. No, you simply don't feel a limitation, like a limitless existence. It's called Ananda. That limitless existence itself is bliss. And it is unconditional. That's why it's called Ananda, meaning Ananda comes from the word Ananta, infinity. It is unconditional. It doesn't, its existence doesn't depend on any external object or external or internal or any perception. To realize yourself as Satchidananda is the purpose of life. It has nothing to do with what you contribute. You make big contributions, but you have not realized Satchidananda. It's like saying, I dreamt. In the dream, I built so many things for so many people. Then you woke up. Does it make any sense? And because you did all those things, they gave you an award and they gave you $1 billion and some $1 trillion worth of bitcoins. And when you wake up, can you encash it? Same thing. It is absolutely, it's a part of the dream. When you wake up, it disappears, it collapses. For the Buddha, the moment he awakened, that moment it collapsed. So what does he see then? He sees a world, but there is no delusion that it is separate from me. It is my own self appearing as the world. How that is another conversation. How the world is me is another conversation. First, I told you 3 parts. I am Atma Brahma, Jagat Mithya, and Sarvam Khalu Vidam Brahma. We will go one by one. Today, the focus was I am Atma Brahma. And what is Brahman? Brahman is Sat Chit Ananda. Is there any doubt for people here on the call that you are not Satchitananda? Any doubt? You can say I am Satchitananda plus something else, that is fine. I am Satchitananda and I am so many things, that's fine. That so many things will remain. But I am not Satchitananda, is there a doubt? Is there an argument? Sat and Chit are very clear. Ananda is the main problem. It's fine. Sat and Chit, my main pain point is Ananda. I do not experience bliss. Or rather, it's not right to say I do not experience bliss. I experience misery. Right? I experience thought and emotions. How to become free from that. So that is next session. If I tell everything in this session, next class, nobody will come. It will only be me and 2 people. Already there are 3 people here.
एक मिनट चेंजिंग आई और रियल लाइफ का जो डिफरेंस है वो चेंजिंग आई तो समझ में आ गया, बट रियल लाइफ थोड़ा मतलब कम समझ में आ रहा है. अगर हम लोग बात करने जाए तो फिर हम कैसे बताएंगे, क्योंकि हमारी तो आदत, मेरी भी आदत होगी है कि मैंने किया, मैंने सोचा, मैंने एक्सपीरियंस किया, जो भी है. तो फिर हम कैसे चीजों को बताएंगे जब बातचीत करेंगे.
So जब आप बातचीत करेंगे, जब when you speak,
खासकर जब आप सवाल पूछेंगे, ऐसे नॉर्मल लाइफ में ठीक है.
नहीं, तो even the enlightened being interacts with the world using the language that you use. So Krishna also in the Bhagavad Gita says, when he makes many statements using the word I, using the word me. But when Sri Krishna tells I and me, he's referring to changing or unchanging I? He's referring to unchanging I. When Sri Krishna tells surrender to me, it doesn't mean Sri Krishna. It means surrender to your unchanging I principle in you. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami mashava. Aham tvam. I will burn all your sins. That's what the statement. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami mashucha. That means I will burn all your sins and give you liberation. When he says I, it's the unchanging I. The realization, or rather recognition of unchanging I immediately burns karma. You cannot have karma and know the unchanging I. It is the changing I that experiences karma. You understand, Vivek? Any doubt? So you understood what Krishna means? So every single text or Shruti, it's called Shruti. Shruti, Shruti, yeah. Shruti is spoken. Every spoken Gita or teaching of the enlightened one should be interpreted or seen from the angle of unchanging eye, consciousness, not as body. That's the biggest difference people make in translation of spiritual text. Okay, so Jesus gave eyes to the blind man. Is a story. Jesus gave eyes to the blind man. All heard the story? Jesus didn't, and the eyes doesn't refer to physical eyes. Then people will start thinking, okay, Jesus did a miracle. Somebody could not see, they were blind. Jesus gave him eyes. No, somebody was spiritually blind. He was only seeing objects. He could not see consciousness. Jesus, because of his teaching, gave him the spiritual eyes. It's called Diksha. In Sanskrit, it's called Diksha. Aksha means eyes. Diksha means eyes of wisdom. Okay? What did Jesus give? Eyes of wisdom. And it's Jesus giving the wisdom to the other person who's ignorant. Meaning, I was seeing, I had a self-identity. Now I became free from self-identity. This is the whole misinterpretation of Shrutis or spiritual texts. It is to be seen from the consciousness point of view, unchanging point of view. It is interpreted as body-mind point of view. You understand? So when you speak, when even the enlightened person uses the I, me, mine, but they're referring to unchanging I. So what happens when you realize you will continue to interact with the world, continue to say, oh, I have to do the work, while as clearly knowing that who is doing the work? I am not doing the work. Work is happening. There is no entitlement. It is like this. The boss in the office comes and gives a big prep talk. Okay, it's the beginning of the financial year. We'll do great job. All of us will work together. We'll do great work. When he says we'll do work, who he means will do work? Will he do work? Team will do work. Boss will not do any work. Same thing with the enlightened being. When they use the words I, me, they don't have any concrete being that they're referring to. They're referring to unchanging eye. Does that answer the question, Mitali ji? तो आप बोलिए, बिंदास बोलिए, मैं कर रही हूँ, मैं खा रही हूँ, मैं खाना बना रही हूँ. But never delude yourself. To delude other people, you can tell whatever you want. never delude yourself. जो आप कहते हैं उसको मानिए मत. आप बोलिए, पर मानना मत. ठीक है? Any doubt? Changing eye, unchanging eye, clear?
Yeah, little bit.
Okay, I'll just give me 2 more minutes. I'll put the entire thing into one simple illustration that will probably help you. Where can I use the board or something?
आफ्टर द सेशन फिर से इसको कई बार सुनती हूँ, सुनना पड़ेगा, तब जाके यहाँ पे ना होगा. जैसे पिछला सेशन भी कई बार सुना, कई बार इसको बीच बीच में जैसे लगता था भूल गई हूँ या समझ में नहीं आ रहा, फिर से सुन लिया वो पोर्शन टाइमिंग्स में जाके.
सुनिए, अच्छा है.
हाँ, दैट विल हेल्प एक्चुअली.
इसलिए वेदांत में बोलते हैं श्रवण, मनन और निधिध्यास. श्रवण माने सुनना, मनन माने उसके बारे में सोचना, निधिध्यास माने वो जो सुना है, जो मनन किया है, वैसा होना. करना नहीं, कुछ करने का नहीं है यहाँ पे. कुछ होमवर्क नहीं है, असाइनमेंट नहीं है, कुछ भी नहीं है. असाइनमेंट सिर्फ यही है, जो ज्ञान दिया है उसको सुनो और प्रश्न है तो पूछो, बस. सबको बोर्ड दिखाई दे रहा यहाँ पे? Everybody can see the board, right? Okay, ये दिख रहा है? So this is what you call as you. Now inside here, don't go by the drawing. Can you see this? What is that inside? Inside the head? There's one more person inside your mind. That's called the inner voice. All of you have inner voice. दिमाग में एक और आदमी बोल रहा है, कॉन्स्टेंटली बोल रहा है, कुछ तो बोल रहा है, ये ठीक नहीं, ये ठीक है, ये ऐसा करो, ऐसा नहीं करो, right? This is called where always there is a self-talk. Right? There's always self-talk. And what is the input for this? From where this person is getting all the thoughts? So this person has one hard disk. हार्ड डिस्क में सब कुछ है, सब प्रोग्राम्स है, प्रोग्राम उस दिन ये हुआ, उस दिन इस आदमी ने ये बोला. All programs are there in this person's hard drive. It's another person, it's not you. Okay? Are all of you able to know the presence of another voice in your head? It's something else. It's not you. You can't control it. You're actually, मैं तो एक साधु इंसान हूँ, ये कुछ भी बोले जा रहा है, right? Sometimes you're astonished. Why am I getting such kind of thoughts? Why am I getting such kind of feelings, ideas? Where is this coming from? It's all coming from the corrupted hard disk of this guy, not you. Okay? This is the child of the society. Child of society. This was not there. There was a point when after you were born, it was not there. When in the absence of this, what is this mind? It's a divine child. Okay, when the child is born, this is not there. Self-talk is not happening in the child. It's a divine child. The child is actually experiencing Sat, Chit, Ananda. Even if the child cries, you do an operation on the child. Okay, you've seen, many children go through surgeries and all that. They might cry in pain, but there is no suffering in the child. The child doesn't suffer. The child falls while walking, it breaks his teeth, eats mud, eats some coin, something happens in the body, disease happens in the body, surgery happens, the child experiences pain, but the child doesn't experience suffering. The child doesn't experience depression. The child doesn't experience anxiety and unnatural fear. Natural fear is experienced, like some darkness and some fear. Okay, some natural fear exists. The child doesn't have phobias, fear of water, all that is not coming yet. All that are programs that are programmed by society. This guy, the voice in the head. Okay, this voice in the head is a child of whose child it is? परमात्मा का बेटा नहीं है. किसका बेटा है? आपके पिता और माता जी का बेटा नहीं है. It's not a child of your parents also. It's not a child of Paramatma also. It is a child of the society, the world. And the society includes world, books, what else? TV,
Relatives.
family, school, everything. People get programmed with weird ideas. Have you met people? Somebody's waiting in the waiting room. Sorry, Kundanji, I don't know how much you missed, Kundanji. I'll just quickly repeat. If you can read of course you can see the video later also, but quickly. In you right now, there is this is your head. There's another person in the head who's always talking, chattering, giving ideas. It's a self-talk that's happening. This person in the head is a child of the society. When I say society, world, family, books, TV. So children pick up so many ideas from media, and they start believing it's their own ideas. Some ideas which are not relevant to their life, or rather, on the contrary, which are destructive to their life, they start believing it's their idea because it's my freedom of speech and my free will, and that my free will also programmed. Okay, it is the child of the society. It's not a creation of Bhagavan, Paramatma. What is creation of Paramatma is the divine child, which is you. So this child is there. Everybody agrees there is a self-talk. This person is there, the child of the society. In your head, is there? Is the child of God also there? Vivek? This one is there? Is this one there? Is it still there? No, but Abhi, now are both there coexisting, or only one is there? Right now, only self-talk is there because it's not allowing the divine child to speak. The divine child is there, still there. The divine child is what makes you come to satsang. The divine child is what makes you do the actions of dharma. The divine child is what pushes you more towards Atma. If that was not there, you would not go in that direction. This one will take you somewhere else, which has already happened. This one, for multiple lifetimes, has taken you on chakkars and chakkars. Okay, that's what it's called. This is the story of Hiranyakashipu and Prahalada. So all the Puranas are not just some random meaningless stories. They're all spiritual truths about you, told in the form of the story. This self-talking being is a Hiranyakashipu. He's a father. Do you know the story of Prahalada? Everybody knows the story of Prahalada. And that Hiranyakashipu wants to constantly kill Prahalada. He wants to kill the divine child, always, and establish that I am the supreme. There's no God, no nothing. I am the supreme. That's the ego. That's the self-talk. First thing to understand, you are not this. I'm not telling that's not there. It is there, fine. But know that you are not that. It is a programming, it's a virus. There is a divine child in you, and there's a divine in you. There's a divine child which expresses the divinity, and there's the divinity itself, which is the real you. The divine child is a purified mind. When your mind becomes purified means become free from programs. That mind is called divine mind, divine child. Okay, but you are not even the divine mind. You are beyond that. You are the one that gives power to that. But for now, know that you are not the self-talking programmed being. You are the divine child. Now, how do I reduce the voice, the volume of this guy? Every moment he starts speaking, he or she or it starts speaking, ask, is it the child's? Which child speaking? Child of society speaking? Child of divine child speaking? That moment, it will quiet down. You understand? The moment you catch the thief, it will quiet down. Okay, that's just the beginning. I'm not telling this is the end. Until the next session, until we go into the deeper into the inquiry of the self, become aware of the chattering of the programmed chattering child of the society, and know that it is not you, and stop giving too much attention to that. It feeds off your attention. This child feeds off the attention without the divinity illumining it, without the electricity giving the power to the hard drive. The hard drive cannot work. The electricity is you. Stop giving more attention. That the thought comes up, oh, I'm depressed. You also start jumping, oh, I'm depressed. Oh, the divine child starts believing that. Stop doing that. It's a thought. Let's see. That's what I meant by Sakshi Bano. Sakshi Bano means don't get involved in it, don't empower it. On the contrary, start another self-talk, which is called Now do you see this? Let the chattering guy chatter. Bring in the chatter of wisdom. It's called, first is self-talk. Bring guru talk. You become the guru. Okay? Contemplate on the higher spiritual teaching using intellect, not some mystical thing. Belief in God. Let me believe in God. Ye acha hoga, kal acha hoga. Bhagwan aayega, hame bachayega. Kuch bhi nahi. The teachings of Vedanta by masters, be it Ramana Maharshi or Nisargadatta Maharaj, Bhagavan Osho, all the enlightened beings. When I say teaching, you have to tell it with authority to this program mind. This is not the case. No, I completely understand the reality of life based on the teachings of the enlightened master. So you have to empower more enlightening teachings within you. You have to become the guru. That's why Buddha, when he was dying, he was asked the last message. What is your last message to everybody? He said, Atma Deepo Bhava. Atma Deepo Bhava. Become the light onto yourself. Onto yourself. When I say yourself, the lower self. There's a lower self, there is a higher self. Take the position of the higher self, associate more with the higher self. Eventually, you have to drop both the selves. Until you do that, associate more with the higher self. And that higher self is the teachings of the gurus. Make your mind more like the mind of the enlightened one. That's the whole point of the existence of the guru master, that your mind gets attracted to that and can easily take on that form. So you're going through a situation, then you'll start thinking, oh, what would my master would have done in this situation? How would he behave? How would she behave? That's how the disciple's mind operates. And slowly, the disciple mind becomes like the master's mind. The only sadhana I didn't know any sadhana. I didn't know one word of spirituality, shloka, Sanskrit, nothing. The only sadhana that I've done my entire life is become a sponge in front of my master. Whatever he told, I absorbed. And I became him. I completely let go of my lower self. And the mind took on the mind of the master. You understand? And the mind will unconsciously do it. See, the principle of nature is whatever you adore, you'll become that. Unconsciously, if you adore power, your mind will also start thinking in terms of power. Okay, so people who adore money, at every point in their life, they'll see what is the money in it for me. Okay, whatever you consider the highest, your mind will take on that form. If somebody considers some subject as the highest, they'll start seeing the subject in every aspect. Somebody consider art as the highest. Art is the most beautiful. They'll see the art in everything. Somebody considers math as the highest. They'll see the mathematics of everything. Right? Somebody considers consciousness the highest. Sadguru is the highest. They'll experience that. The mind will take on that form. The mind cannot understand anything without taking on that form. That's the nature of the mind. So if your mind has to understand this pen, the image of the pen the mind has to take the form of the pen to understand it. Right? That's why the ancient people created the idols of Krishna and Rama, Shiva. So when you look at why do people stand days together in the Tirupati temple? They get only 1 second to look at that idol. That 1 second, their mind also takes that idol form. That's why they experience divinity. And their problems will get healed, not because God healed them, because their mind took that form. They become free from that problem. You understand? That image is created out of beautifully idol in the temple. When you look at that, your mind also takes that form momentarily. But that is called Sthira Vigraha. The Guru is called Chara Vigraha. Guru is also Vigraha, but it's a living, moving, breathing, talking Vigraha. Your mind takes the form of the enlightened one. You understand? So you have to substitute the self-talk, program talk, with Guru talk. You have to become the Guru. Repeat the words of the Guru, repeat the words of the scriptures, fine. But repeat it. Become That's why the Gita and all the book covers of the Gita, Arjuna is the bottom, Krishna is shown. The Krishna and Arjuna is not Krishna and Arjuna. It's your higher self and your lower self. Your higher self is the Guru. Your higher self actually takes the form of the Guru and comes. It's your own higher self ultimately. You understand? Is it clear, everybody? So thank you all for extending for another 30 minutes. Shisharji, just a moment. I'll take the question. I'll just take the questions. Whoever, I know we have exceeded for 30 minutes. Thank you for joining in again and staying on. Whoever wants to disconnect can disconnect, and whoever wants to discuss and have questions, we'll continue. So yes, Shisharji, any questions?
So whenever there's a self-talk, we need to do two things. The first is to ask, is it the talk coming from that child of a society?
First is to understand who is speaking. That's why I ask you, who is talking?
Who is talking?
Who is telling? Because you want to know the coordinates of the person. Who is speaking? Is it the self, the program guy speaking, or the divine child speaking, or the higher self speaking? Okay. The moment you ask who is, the moment you see, you'll understand, okay, it's the program child, because most of the talking happens because of program child only. The divine child doesn't speak much. The higher self doesn't speak much. So who is speaking? You'll see that, okay, it's my program speaking. Don't give too much attention to that. Third step is, it is so overpowering that my not giving attention is not helping. So sometimes not paying attention, it'll go away. Sometimes it's so overpowering that even though I'm not giving attention, it's catching, seeking, craving for my attention. Then you have to take the form of Guru. You see, no, this is not the right thinking. You have to build the habit of Gnana. You have to speak Gnana within. Otherwise, how will you speak it outside? How will your life become that? You understand?
So that third step is like when you say take the role of a guru, is it listening to, say, for example, the recordings of a guru or the some famous lines or what the guru has said and think about those?
Yes, at a very superficial sense. Yes, in terms of listening to Shravana, playing some audio or reading some book or seeing some message and all that. But ultimately, relying on your own inner intuition and inquiring into the nature. For example, let's say the chattering mind says, I am depressed. Okay. What would the guru say? What would the enlightened person say? Is depression a reality for the enlightened one? So you intuitively know, that's why they're called the enlightened one. You might not know what is enlightenment, but you intuitively know the enlightened person doesn't have suffering. You understand? So what would the person who doesn't have depression say if you say, I am depressed?
Why?
Then you will say, then the speaking mind will say, no, my life, everything is going wrong. Then what would the enlightened mind say?
So what?
So what? You're speaking like a pakka enlightened person. That's exactly how an enlightened person. So what? You're dreaming. So it is using your intuition, your intelligence, and understanding the nature of unreality. That is what I mean by Guru talk. Guru talk, in one sense, means, of course, going back to the scripture, referring to the Bhagavad Gita, or referring to the Upanishad, or referring to the teachings of Ramana Maharshi or some other enlightened master, or going by intuition, that I know intuitively that the master is free from the suffering. And I also know that Krishna is free from the suffering, but he's still on the battlefield. He's not free from the external implications of the word. You understand? So and Krishna is speaking, all that he's speaking, standing in the battlefield. He's not somewhere away from the battlefield, right? So the messages that I give myself as a guru is, whatever is happening externally is not going to affect me in any way, really. And if I feel it's affecting me, it's only my delusion. It's not real. And use your own memory. Pull out your own memory and see, I have lived 30, 40 years. Has anything happened to me? I have lived through ups and downs, and the nature of life is ups and downs. But has anything really happened to me? Tell me, has anything happened to you really? Something might happen to your mental state, but in reality, nothing has happened to you. You're actually, see, you please understand what the self-talking guy is trying to do. He or she is trying to make you a victim. He or she is making you miss your blessings and focus on and picturing you as the victim. You have so many blessings in your life. Start counting your blessings. Do you have 2 eyes?
Yeah.
The victim, the self-talking mind will say, "Oh, my brother or my neighbor is earning 3 times salary as me." Arey Baba, you're earning whatever you are earning is more than 2 billion people on the planet. There are 2 billion people on the planet who are probably living in below poverty line. You're definitely better than that. There are at least 1 billion people who are blind on the planet. You're definitely better than that. Okay, so start bringing the self-talking mind can never argue with logic. It's an illogical mind. Okay, that is the secret of that self-talking mind. It's that society mind. It brings up some random points and puts a picture that everything is horrible. If you start breaking it down with logic, it will collapse. Yeah. And the highest logic is logic of Atma Vichara. You understand, Vivek? Everything, the thought that you have, emotion, feelings you have, can be broken down with enough time. You can strike it down because everything is false. You yourself can do it. Not that you need some therapy to do it. You yourself can do it. But that program has programmed you telling that you can't do it. Do you see that? That's the job of the guru. The guru's job is to deprogram you. That's why it's called decoding. It's to deprogram you from the programs of that society. So Sheshadri, is this clear? First, become aware who is doing it. It's a divine child or society child or higher self. If it's a lower self, take the position of the higher self and have a guru talk. Change the self talk to guru talk.
So the guru talk is something like kind of discussing with the guru and how guru will advise me in this situation.
No. You take the position of the guru.
If you
your
are
intuition. Because you are that. That is your reality. You are consciousness. You are guru. You are the guru is your real self. Guru is not some person. Your inner self is the guru.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, you'll always be dependent on some person. No? You'll always be dependent on some guru. Ultimately, the guru's job is to awaken the guru inside you. And this is the process of awakening guru inside you. Okay. So
now taking the taking the position of a guru, like now the divine child talks to the society child and have a conversation with the child. And divine child talks logically and the society child will.
Absolutely. That is exactly what happens in the story of Prahalada. So ultimately, Hiranyakashipu has tried everything to kill Prahalada. Finally, Hiranyakashipu gives up. He has a dialogue with the divine child. And the divine child starts telling him about Atma, about Paramatma, about Narayana. And the divine child tells Narayana is everywhere. Right? Then Hiranyakashipu asks, no, that's not true. Because it's not in my experience. It is not in ego's experience that God is everywhere. Everybody knows God is everywhere. It's not in the real living experience. So then the divine child explains that God is in every object. How God is in every object, we have not come to that teaching yet. Okay. When we come to that, you'll become clear and you'll be able to explain that to anybody, not only your own self, even to anybody else who has a question. So that part I'll come to later. Right now, you can stay in the realm of what you have discussed and understood, which is roles, self-identities, changing and unchanging eye. This itself is significant. It's called Atma Anatma Viveka. Do you have Atma Anatma Viveka now?
Do I have
Shisharji?
Atma?
Atma Anatma Viveka. Do you understand the changing and unchanging eye?
Yes.
Do you understand false self-identities? How people have false identities? All the suffering is because of some identity. Do you understand that?
Mm-hmm.
With this much jnana, this much itself is enough for liberation. You can cut down the ego, the society child into pieces with just this much. Who am I?
For this to happen, maybe it's a journey, I think, isn't it? Now it's just that we are aware
Who
of
says
it.
that? Who's saying? Which child is saying? Who's saying this?
That's what I am.
No.
No,
You're not thinking.
For that society child to be told off and to give and make it keep quiet or disappear or become smaller, and the divine child to grow. I think, if I'm sad. For me to, I have to first calm down, then put your teachings and then understand, and then tell the divine child that I have to take an upper hand. I think that's a bit of a journey.
Yuddha Kale, I think na shasta abhyasa yuddha kale, meaning you cannot practice using a weapon. You learn using a weapon, shasta abhyasa, on the battlefield. When you're sad, you can't do anything. Guru himself can't come and help you. So all the contemplation, the sadhana, the inquiry is done where?
When you're calm.
Offline. When you're calm. Do it when you're sane, so that you don't become insane. Don't try to do it when you're insane. The more you sweat in the gym, the less you'll bleed in the battle. You're feeling insane right now? That will come to wait. 1 second. So did you understand? The more you sweat in practice, the less you bleed in battle. You cannot do it when you're in battle. You have to do it offline. So you cannot do gym. You cannot become healthy when you're sick. When you're down with a viral, you cannot go to the gym. Can you go to the gym? You can't become healthy. You have to recover. When you have recovered, you go to the gym so that you don't fall ill as often. Does that answer the question?
Yes. We need to keep practicing this, and it has to become our sort of.
It has to become your reality. That's the otherwise how to become an engineer. How long you guys worked? Some 20-25 years of your life.
Yeah.
To become Paramatma, you want it overnight. To become Sachidananda, you want it overnight. You heard all the rishis, and Buddha himself struggled for 6 years, sitting under, leaving the palace and everything. Poor guy. You're anyway sitting peacefully in Ireland in Dublin, and some guru is coming in laptop and teaching you. All you have to do is receive it and implement it. That's all. No need to even go to the forest. So yes, what you said is absolutely true. When you're sad, when you're down, it's not possible. Or rather, I wouldn't say it's not possible. It is possible. Actually, if you're able to do it at that time, it's the most enlightening and liberating. When you are able to see, because you have an actual test, rubber meets the road. If you're able to live through in the time of turmoil, if you're able to find peace in the time of turmoil, then that peace is real. You'll find it even anywhere else. But if you find the peace in the Himalaya, your peace is dependent on Himalaya. If you find only the peace in satsang, your peace will always be conditioned to satsang. But if you can find the peace in stress, in traffic, in war, in arguments, then you're free. Then what more do you need? What Vedanta do you need? Do you need any teaching if you're able to do that? If you're able to stay peaceful in adversity, you don't need anything. That's what happened. Please, everybody, I recommend to read a book called A Man's Search for Meaning in Life. It's by a doctor called Viktor Frankl. It's a true story. It's a very small book, only 60 pages, 100 pages. Man's Search for Meaning in Life. This doctor, he lives, this happens during the World War II time. Hitler starts killing all the Jews. He's a Jew. His wife is killed, children are killed. His entire work of 20 years of medicine has burned down, and they shave his head and they send him to a concentration camp to die. Okay, there he finds wisdom, there he finds liberation, and he writes a book of what all observations he made in that situation. What more worse can it be to any human being to be put in a concentration cell? All right, your family is killed, your work is destroyed, your self-image, respect, everything is gone. Your body is destroyed. You're only waiting for death. Okay, and you're made to do hard labor, torture, because of no fault of your own. If you had fault of your own, you could always say, okay, I have done something wrong, I deserve this. No fault of your own. You're a Jew, and you're put into concentration cell. And he comes out, and Viktor Frankl is later released from when the World War II ends, the battle is won, Hitler is dead. He's released, and he writes the book. And because he's a doctor, he goes through the situation very objectively. He helps a lot of people, thousands of people to come out of very deep disorders, mental disorders. Because one day in the concentration camp will collapse your mind. You will not be sane after that, seeing whatever you see there. Okay, he helps all these people to come out of that trauma and live a beautiful life. I would say that book is more valuable than any scripture, because it's life, it's real life, and it's written by a doctor. Man's Search for Meaning. Man's Search for Meaning by Dr. Viktor Frankl. Okay, so he goes through the worst, which I'm sure in your entire lifetime you'll not go through, but we all react as if we are going through that. Okay, he lives through that. He lives through that unaffected, because he doesn't give in to the self-talk. He sees people give in to the self-talk and commit suicide. Okay, they're all anyway going to die, but they give in to the self-talk and they commit suicide. But he observes all of this, and he sees two kinds of people rising in this turmoil. One, he calls them as angels. Same situation, same horrible situation, same prison, but two types of people emerge. One are angels. Everybody's given one piece of bread, okay, to eat. If they don't eat that day's no more food. And if they eat that, they become hungry. If they don't eat that, somebody else will steal it. Okay, so their biggest decision in life there is, should I eat the bread now or should I eat it later? So he sees two types of people. Some people, they eat half and they put the other half into people who faint. He calls them as saints. Even in that situation, some people become saints. And he sees other people, other Jews, they steal the bread from other people and they tie up with the German guards and they brutalize their own fellow beings. Them he calls as pigs. So he tells, in the same dust and mud and dirt and hell, two people emerge, angels and pigs. And clearly he's neither angel, neither pig. He's an observer. Okay. So the self-talk, if you see that's happening, it goes on happening as if you're in hell, which is not true. When you're really in the hell, you can either be an angel or you can become what Viktor Frankl says is pig, or you can be the observer, neither both. So the choice is yours. It's a choice what you want to be. What you will be depends on It depends on the snakes, vasanas. The whole point of this Atma Darshana session is to destroy the vasana and make you free from all vasanas and make you realize your true self as Satchidananda, so that even when, if someday you're put into a concentration cell, you are blissful. Krishna was born in the cell. Okay, Krishna was standing in the battlefield, which is a hell, which is worse than a concentration camp. Okay, and he's peaceful. And he's bringing peace to somebody else also. Not that he's just peaceful. He has the ability to bring peace to somebody else. That is the beauty of enlightenment. He's very, very whatever questions you may have, we'll take it up in the next session. Let's not stretch it more. So is this so far clear, everybody? Okay, let's just do a closing prayer and close. Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Pratyorma Amrutam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. My pranams to all. 2 weeks from now, we will have the Mandukya session. The Mandukya session, the next shloka that we're going to take up is about the shloka that says, I am Atma Brahma. So I'll be elaborating on whatever we just discussed from a very traditional Vedantic point of view in terms of Mandukya Upanishad. How Mandukya Upanishad proves I am Atma Brahman. I am the self and the self is Brahman, Satchidananda. So all of you are welcome to join. Offline, it will happen here in JP Nagar, Bangalore, at A. Sagar Vivek's office. Online on Zoom, I'll share the link on the group. So, Hari Om.